continue our summer series on Alberta Provincial historic sites. Our next stop is Elk Point and the battle between two fur trading posts, Fort George and Buckingham House. They're tonight's Hidden Gems.
So is my Northwest Company ready? Yeah. Hudson's Bay ready? Yeah. On your mark, get set, go. These posts are very important to the story of Alberta because they tell the story of very, very early Alberta. Okay, Hudson's Bay Company is winning by a little bit. There was two fur trading posts here of two opposing companies that competed against each other for 8 years, but also remained neighbors at the same time. So it makes for an interesting story having your worst enemy as your neighbor.
What the archaeologists actually found here was your blacksmith shop. This is actually an archaeological site, so it's actually where it happened. Fort George is your Northwest Company fort. It was not a military fort. Fort George and Buckingham House were built in 1792. The Aboriginal people that were here traded with these fur traders, and between them they traded and mutually benefited from both sides, trading the furs as well as the goods.
Hudson's Bay Company is new to the inland trade. This particular location is chosen because it's originally like a Cree gathering place, and so they already knew that a lot of Aboriginal people were coming to this area in the first place. It was also chosen because it has a very commanding view of the river. You want to have a very good line of sight if you're going to be setting up a big fortified post. Hudson's Bay Company for years had just sat at the Hudson's Bay and waited for everyone to come to them. But the fur trade was dramatically changed when the Northwest Company was formed and started moving inland. The Northwest Company went in and around them and started going to the Aboriginals. That set the Hudson's Bay Company in a bit of a panic. That actually led to a leapfrogging war between the two companies down the rivers of Canada, which in a very strange way led to the discovery of Canada. My name is Voyager Chris, and I'm going to be your hunt master, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to chase a bison into a thing that's called the pound. Bison is very important for this area simply because it's the main food source. So a lot of posts were set up in this area to become provision posts for the fur trade simply because there were so many bison in the area where they could get meat from. The main effect of the fur trade on the Aboriginal people is the advancement of technology. The fur traders are bringing items that make the Aboriginals' lives easier.
The Aboriginals started trading with the Europeans, and they're using the furs like money. Right here is actually where the clerk would be. The clerks were the ones who were making the deals. They're at the forts, trading with the Aboriginals, figuring out back and forth how many furs they're getting for what goods that they wanted. Other things they traded for were all your metal items. This was a barter system. There wasn't prices put on any of the goods. So it all depended on the clerk as well as the Aboriginals, how the deals would work and what price they paid for different items.
You'd think if it was your worst enemy on fire, you'd just sit there and let them burn. What the guys at Fort George did is they ran over and helped put out the fire. And that led actually to a really awesome relationship between the forts. It's very, very strange, but they'd even have tea parties together, celebrate holidays together, even canoe down the river together. It's aptly named as the main house because this is where all the main activities are going on.
Come up and see two actual forts way back into history and learn about what these people went through and how the two companies were working against each other and then in the end amalgamated to become one company. It was awesome.
For Canadian history, it's really neat to understand what went down here, understand the different players of the fort. Our ancestors worked very hard for our country. We should appreciate all the different things that they did for us, as well as the Aboriginal influence and how their lives changed and evolved, and that is something that we should appreciate.